Tim Tszyu gets a stoppage win over American boxer Joey Spencer. In this video, I will let you know what really happened. Now, this was a high stakes fight for Tim Tszyu. It was an at-home fight. He had the home court advantage. The fight took place in Australia on Amazon Prime, and Tim Tszyu particularly was coming off of back-to-back losses. One, he had the top of his head split open by Fundora, Slender Man's elbow, and he was bleeding. So, just the optics of that. And then his fight back was against Bakram Murtazayev, who is a champion, and Tim Tszyu got cooked. He fought Bakram, and Murtazayev had a wounded hand, and he was just landing vicious hooks. He dropped Tim Tszyu multiple times. So it wasn't really a forgiving year of 2024 for Tim Tszyu in his career, because prior to that, Tim Tszyu was undefeated. So that's how boxing works. 2 back-to-back losses, one where, you had all this blood in your eyes, so just the optics of that looked crazy. And then you get dropped a gang of times by Murtazayev and lose that fight. So this was a very big crossroads fight for Tim Tszyu. You had the home court advantage and you needed to win, and Tim Tszyu, he did that. He got the 4th round TKO victory. Joey Spencer's dad was forced to throw in the towel to preserve his son because Tim Tszyu started unloading and he was relentless. Now, let me start from the top. Round one, I gave actually the first 2 rounds to Joey Spencer. Tim Tszyu, he just wasn't throwing, and Joey Spencer was landing some very good hooks, jabs. In one of the first 2 rounds, he landed a nice uppercut. He was looking to counter, and he had some pep in his step. So the first 2 rounds, with his activity, I thought he clearly won, right? Tim Tszyu was putting on a lot of pressure, but he was taking his time. I think he knew the pressure that he was facing given his circumstance of 2 back-to-back losses. So he didn't want to jump out the window early and, have a 3rd loss in a row. Post-fight, he kind of minimized it when they say, oh, you're under a lot of scrutiny and pressure. And he was like, oh, pressure? And he, it's easy to say once you're relieved and after the fight is already over, you know what I mean? But make no mistake about it, there was a lot of pressure on Tim Tszyu here. Joey Spencer also looked big. He looked bigger than Tim Tszyu in the build up to the fight, and he sounded very confident. Now, Joey Spencer and his family, shout out to them, came up short. Friends of the channel, make no mistake about it, I am very transparent. I've known Joey Spencer pretty much in his family since he was 15. So for me, it became a bit hard to watch in rounds 3 and 4, mostly round 4, just because I'm like, man, because I thought he was off to a good start. I'm always fair and unbiased with my commentary, but what hurt Joey, in my opinion, is round 3, because I thought he was a little too flat-footed and in front of Tim Tszyu, and Tim Tszyu landed a very good punch. I don't remember exactly what punch it was, but it was in round 3, kind of at the end of round 3. And I think that seeing that and getting the reaction that he got, that kind of opened up Pandora's box. And Tim Tszyu did what, a former champion should do. And he tried to exploit and build off that. And that's exactly what he did. And in round 4, he got more aggressive. And then, it's a big learning curve when you think you're kind of in the fight, in control of the first 2 rounds. And Tim Tszyu, credit to him, he hadn't really shown many of his cards. Like, he didn't really open up in the first 2 rounds. And Joey Spencer was able to get some things going. And ultimately win those first 2 rounds. But then out of nowhere, Tszyu started letting his hands go. It started in round 3, and then he continued in round 4. And then in round 4, he just put the punches together, and I think he had Joey buzzed, and Joey should have really clinched or taken a knee maybe to stop the onslaught. There's a lot of fighters, I feel like, especially young fighters, where they, in the heat of battle, they are reluctant to take the knee or clinch. But you got to do what you got to do in those moments so you can see it through. So unfortunate for Joey Spencer, I think that's the mistake he made, is getting rocked or getting buzzed. That's one thing, but you heard the crowd. He already has a crowd on his side and things like that, and he sees it and he smells blood. And Tszyu, throughout his career, outside of his last 2 fights with Fundora and Murtazaev, he's been a good finisher. When he fought Tony Harrison and Ocampo and stuff like that. So I think Joey needed to buy some time and slow down what was happening. And then he didn't, and he kind of retreated. The referee was like, show me something, show me something. And Tszyu just was like all on him. And Joey's back was against the rope. And you seen his head rocking back before he got to the rope, really. But Tszyu, really, credit to him, he forced the stoppage because Joey Spencer's dad got on the apron and threw in the towel. He was forced to throw in the towel because it was pretty much too much unanswered punches from Joey Spencer. And it happened really in the last round and a half, round 3, at the end of round 3, and it continued in round 4. And, that is boxing. So that's my breakdown on it. Post-fight, Tszyu, you could tell he was relieved. His wife was seemingly relieved, and he gets to advance. They asked him about fighting Keith Thurman, and he says, if that's what the fans want, let's bring it down here. Let's do a big fight. I think it's a great fight. Tszyu just broke his back-to-back loss streak and got another stoppage at home. He's undefeated. His family is undefeated. The Costa Tszyu, they're all undefeated in Australia. So they seem to have good luck. Not luck, like he's not trying. I don't say it to undermine, the effort and the training. But I'm saying, he keeps winning at home. Versus when he came to America, he got dropped by Terrell Goucher in the first round in his first fight in America. And then he lost to Fundora, who it was supposed to be Keith Thurman. And then he got cooked by Murtazaev. So I think Keith Thurman already fought in Australia. He already did business with main events. It makes sense. He fought Brock Jarvis a couple weeks ago, and Keith Thurman, he looked good, in shape, powerful. He got a stoppage, and Tszyu just got a stoppage right now. So I told you guys, I thought before the fight that if Thurman won and if Tszyu won, then I think they were going to try to pair them together. Now, I really believe that, even though I already told you that before the outcome of both of their fights. So I think that's the next big fight at 154, Tszyu and Keith Thurman. And they're both off of recent performances because Keith Thurman has had a lot of inactivity and Tszyu had a loss streak, 2 losses in a row. He broke that and got him a stoppage. So back-to-back stoppages for both of them, both in Australia. So the Australian public, got reintroduced to Keith Thurman, and Tszyu put on a statement. So I think a lot of people will be interested in that fight. I definitely am. Let me know how I did in this video. Shout out to Joey Spencer for the effort. He was definitely in shape and confident. Kind of got caught in the 3rd round. And then, Tszyu, credit to him, he picked it up in round 4 and just didn't let Joey off the hook. So it was a good fight while it lasted. Let me know what you guys think. Drop that in the comment section for more boxing breakdowns like this and what really happened. Subscribe. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that.